Hello everyone, my name is Unravled, but you can call me Rav. Let's see if we can predict what the next mightiest raid Pokemon are going to be. My personal predictions are that we're going to get a Ghost-type Delphox, an Ice-type Inteleon, Ground-type Chestnut, maybe a Bug-type Samurott, and I'm not quite sure about Typhlosion, but let me tell you why I think that. Editor's note, this video was recorded on March 25th, but on March 26th I had a tooth pulled. So I didn't finish editing it while I was resting, but in that time, it has been confirmed that Samurott is in fact going to be the next mightiest raid and is a bug type, but in this video I'll explain why I think it's a bug type. So let's get back to the video. So before I can really explain to you why I've made the choice that I have of those Pokemon, in this image here that I have on Google Sheets, you can see all the Pokemon that are currently in the code for Scarlet and Violet that are not in Scarlet and Violet. Below, you can see the Pokemon that are going to be added in DLC, as well as Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. So up here, we have the normal Pokemon, which, as you can see, are basically just starters. Ash Greninja, I have Pokeball Vivillon here, since all the other ones are in-game, and Carbink. Now, over here, you'll see like a little bit of a legend. Green means they're currently in the game, so you can see we have Charizard, Greninja, Decidueye, Cinderace lines. We can also see that we've got some couple regional variants that are already in the game. We've got first time on Switch, so some of these Pokemon, it'll be their very first time on the Switch. This pinkish color means that I think they're going to be transfer only. Yellow means that they'll probably be shiny huntable, but let's just cover this real quick. So as you can see, all of the current mightiest Pokemon, except for the Pikachu, that was the exception, have all been starter Pokemon. So in my personal opinion, I think that we'll be getting these other Pokemon as starters as well, as mighty Pokemon as well. I don't think we're going to be getting any regional variants in mightiest raids. I think they're going to be mostly transfer only. A couple exceptions are Galarian, Meowth, and Berserker, and Quagsire and Rupert, because those ones are already in the game. Hisuian Zoroark and Zorua are in the game if you bought the DLC. It's a reward for buying it. I think that these ones will be huntable as shiny in the future, and I think these ones here, they're already technically in the game's code. If you were to give Ursaring an Eviolite, it would get the boost from having, as if it had an evolution. So I think these will eventually be able to be evolved in the game, if not transfer only. As for legendaries, I think it'd be really cool if we could get like an Unbound Hoopa raid, for instance, but I think those will be more towards something like in the Crown Tundra, where we had the legendary raids we could do. So we're going to be mainly focusing on these ones here. So moving on to possible Tera types, these are the ones that are currently already in the game as mightiest raids. So we have Charizard with a dragon, Cinderace with fighting, Greninja with poison, Pikachu with water, and Decidueye with flying. Now this has their current moves and their additional moves, and this number down below here means that's how many of those moves of this Tera type they can learn normally. So Charizard learns 6 dragon moves, Cinderace learns 8 fighting moves, Greninja learns 2 poison moves, and it had both of them. And Pikachu had 2 water moves, and Decidueye has 4 flying moves. Now one thing I want to point out about this is that all of these moves that these Pokemon have, like High Jump Kick, Gunk Shot, Surf, Brave Bird, Hurricane, Focus Blast, etc., etc. These are all moves with very high base powers. So I took all of that into consideration when I was thinking of what possible Tera types these Pokemon could have. So if we slide over here, these are the final remaining starters that aren't in the game. And I've gone ahead and listed how many of these Pokemon's moves they can have of each type. So we'll look first at Delphox, since I have it in the first position, and we can see that it learns 14 moves. And if we were to look at that here, this is all of the moves Delphox can learn, separated into physical, special, and status. Delphox is mostly a special attacker, so I took that into consideration when choosing its Tera type. So if we look back here, every move that is over a base power of 80 is currently red. And using that, except for over here, these ones are more moves that could help them in battle. So when I was deciding which Tera type of Pokemon could be, I was looking more at their better attacking move stat. So the Delphox learns a Shadow Ball, which is base power of 80. It also learns Hex, which is 65. Now, usually these moves aren't too strong, But if it's spamming Nasty Plot or Calm Mind, that would increase the damage. If it's using Light Screen, that's a bit better. It also gets Will-O-Wisp, which with Hex is doubled. So if it started off the game with Will-O-Wisp and then started spamming Hex, it would be double damage. So with Hex's damage being doubled, it becomes 130 base power move, which would be very strong if it keeps spamming Will-O-Wisp and then spamming that. So that's why, even though it has a couple other types, I think it'd be Ghost. I'm also not counting Fire or Psychic, because none of the other previous ones have been their exact type. And Normal, I haven't been counting Normal either, because I don't think they would give a Pokemon the Normal type. Although it is possible. We'll have to wait and see. Now, out of all of these, the ones I would have to say I'm the most confident in would be Chestnut and Samurott. Typhlosion I'm the most uncertain about, that's why there's no Tera type here. So let's go ahead and talk about Samurott. Samurott, we're going to go ahead and look at its base stat total here. Samurott is technically a special attacker, but its special attack is only 8 points away from its attack. So it could be either or, I would say. And if we go ahead and look at its moves here, we can see that it learns Mega Horn, which is 120 base power. It also learns Furry Cutter, which is a 40 base power. It can also learn Excisor, which is 80 base power. So if we were to go back to my raid Pokemon sheet and we look at physical moves, because I think it'd be more physical than special, we can see that because it learns so many strong bug type moves and other moves that lower defense and raise attack, I feel like Samurott would most likely be a bug type. And there's actually a lot of great benefits of Samurott being a bug type, which you might not be thinking of. So here we are. If we look at the bug type, we can see that it is weak to flying, rock, and fire. Well, guess what? Samurott's main type is water, which means that any person that brings a fire or a rock type Pokemon to this raid, they might get killed by a strong water type move that it can learn, which would be Hydro Cannon, Hydro Pump, Surf. It doesn't really matter. Its special attack is just as strong as its physical attack. Also, flying types are very strong against bug types. But if we look here again, it learns Blizzard. It also learns Ice Beam, learns a couple of other ice moves. So that's why I think it's definitely going to be a bug type. The other one that I think is more likely to be happening is Chestnut. Looking at Chestnut, we can see here that I think it would be a ground type. Well, let's talk about why I think it would be a ground type. Looking at its moves, first of all, it has a very high attack and a very high defense. So we should be looking at its attack stat and not its special attack stat. And if we look here, we see that it learns quite a few physical attacks compared to special attacks. So if we look down here, we can see that it learns Earthquake. We can also see that I believe it learns, is it not on here? It learns Stomping Tantrum, which is only 75 base power, but that's okay. It also learns quite a few other ground type moves like Spikes. It also can learn Grassy Terrain. But generally speaking, I think it would be a ground type. If anything, it also learns Dig, which I don't think it would use Dig because it's invulnerable during that time. So I don't think we can count Dig being in there. But just the sheer amount of moves that it can learn that are ground type that are very strong. And if we look back here, most of the other moves it learns are normal or rock. So I guess you could say it being a rock type as well. If we look back to its moves here, it learns Stone Edge, which is pretty powerful, but it can miss a lot. It learns a lot of great moves. But if it's a ground type, it's weak to grass and water, which water, it's a grass type. It's going to hit you back with a strong type grass move. Ice, if you bring an ice type, it'll hit you with its strong fighting type moves that it has 9 of them. And if you were to bring, if you were to bring a grass type, it has, I believe, Poison Jab to deal with you. Yeah, it has Poison Jab. So it can counter every single type that you would bring that's super effective against it, which I think is pretty powerful, which is why I believe Chestnut would be a ground type and Samurott would be a bug type. For Inteleon, I'm not super sure what it could be. It doesn't really learn a lot of moves, and as you can see here, I have orange on this flying type, because flying type has already been used. I don't see Pokemon giving it the flying type, since we've already had it. Same with the bug type and dark type. We've technically already, if this is true, we could technically mark these as both that orange color as well. So really, the only other type it has is ice. So that's why I gave it ice. It could be something different. They could give it water because it has the sniper ability. We'll have to wait and see. Typhlosion, I'm really not sure about. I think it could become a grass type. I don't think it would be either of these two because it has a higher special attack stat than physical attack. And most of its special attacking moves are either fighting type, normal type, grass type, psychic type. Most of its moves are fire type, so I feel like Typhlosion would be a good one to give the fire type Tera type, but I'm really not sure. What type do you think Typhlosion could be? Like, I don't really see a good option for it to change into. I guess it could be a normal type, but you just spam Hyper Beam at people, but then it has to recharge, so I don't really see it doing that either. I think Typhlosion activating Sunny Day and then spamming Lava Plume or Eruption would be the best move for that one. Like I said, I'm not really quite sure about that. I'm the most confident about these two, a little bit less confident, and Typhlosion, I'm not confident at all. But what do you think the possible Tera types of these Pokemon could be? Do you think we'll get a legendary Mightiest Raid in the future? What do you think? I also kind of am of the opinion that we won't get home connectivity until all of these starters are in the game, which would be cool. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Peace.